Hey, what's up guys? My name is Moda and welcome back to the Mining Stacker YouTube channel. Today's video, we're going to talk GPU mining in 2025. Does this still make sense? Is it going to be viable? Is it dead? What's going on? What am I doing? Am I adding more GPUs? Am I selling more GPUs? Gonna just kind of talk about it, give our thoughts, because now at this point in the post-halving year, I do have clarity. I do have my plan finalized, and now it's just going to be time to execute, right? So we're going to talk about it, give our thoughts. We're going to be all over the place with GPU mining. So if that sounds good, guys, stay tuned. Let's get right to this thing. So as we look at overall profitability, which again, if you're GPU mining, this is one of your number one things. Currently, with the way the market is, not looking too great. Right, we're on hashrate.no. This is all at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. The biggest, baddest card being the 4090 or the 170HX, depending on your viewpoint. Not making a whole lot. In terms of profit for a singular card, 44 cents on the 4090, 28 cents for the CMP 170HX. And it's not looking great, right? As we look at our bread and butter, which is the 3070. Have it set up for a 10 card rig, again at a 10-cent kilowatt hour. The most profitable coin is a shit coin called WAG Layla. It's bottom of the barrel stuff. $1.30 profit though. But look at the emissions, look at the volume. Kind of good luck trying to sell this thing, right? So we go to the next coin. It goes down to 84 cents. Again, this is for a 10 card rig. This is not for a single card. This is a 10 card rig, and that is your current profit. Okay. So let's kind of give our thoughts now that we are in the post-halving year. Okay, so the name of the game with GPU mining, as we've said from the beginning, it's, as we said in those videos 2 years ago, that the most profitable time to be GPU mining was then, right? Even though fiat profitability wasn't good, it's the yield that was good during those times, especially if you stacked quality coins and you focused on a good strategy. This is why I'm such a big proponent for strategy, okay? Because you can have two people with the same exact rigs. You can have one guy with a 50 card rig over here, another 50 card rig over here, have wildly different results. This guy is at a complete loss, and this guy is sitting on a massive stockpile of cash because he mined quality versus quantity. Okay, the easiest example would be mining a coin that was highly speculative and it freaking rugged. You wasted all that time. And this other person who did well, it's because they mined Casper early, mined a lithium early, held onto those coins, and they did the damn thing. Right? So again, it's been purely speculation based. For any guys who picked the right coins, you've done okay. In many cases, you're going to do even better, hopefully sometime as prices appreciate on some of these coins, again, if you pick the right ones. And that's where it's been very difficult. Okay, but in terms of pure profitability, there has been times, very few days at a time, where it has been somewhat profitable. Ultimately, though, it's been more of this, where it's been like break even or better, right? So for me, that's kind of been the goal. Just because at that point, it's like a better version of DCAing, right? So that's why a lot of us went down to a much smaller scale just to be able to continue to speculate and be able to pay that electric out of pocket and just hold that, right? If you've been mining and selling coins to pay the electric out of pocket, probably haven't done as well. Again, there has been times where things run up and it's been looking great, but unfortunately a lot of it hasn't been very long lived. It hasn't been like a nice 6 to 8 month stretch where it's been like consistent good profitability. There has been times where it's been like a couple month or two that's been excellent. There has been good spec mining opportunities, mining that coin before it made it to the exchange and then dumping on the day one exchange and making a good chunk of change within the matter of weeks. So there have been those opportunities. But as far as looking at it from back in the ETH days where, okay, I can set and forget it and I have this constant profitability, it hasn't been the case. And again, now that we are in the post-halving year, honestly, it doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Does that mean it's dead? Does that mean it's not viable? I don't believe so. I think it's still the name of the game is just going to be mining and hodling those select coins, being selective with what you're mining, focusing on the quality, which you feel is going to do well, versus the quantity versus like the WAG Laylas of the world, right? You want to focus more on the Alios, the Confluxes, the things that have been around, the Raven coins, the Ergos that have been around and are likely to continue to do well sometime in this bull market. Okay. Now, as far as who that kind of applies to, mainly people who already have hardware from the previous cycle that's already paid off, right? Would I be buying GPUs right now? No, right? To me, it's just currently a lot of these ASICs are still at a somewhat affordable price, and those just bring in a lot more revenue. Okay. The name of the game here, though, is electric. If you are a person who is on very cheap electric, you are like sub 8 cents, 8.765 cents, it still does and can make sense. If you're a person who has a big solar farm, again, free electric, it definitely can make sense. But again, if you're an average miner, 14, 15 cent kilowatt hour, just getting started and want to buy a rig of cards right now just to start out, it's extremely hard to recommend, right? Just because it's not looking too great. Okay, so again, as we mentioned though, the name of the game is just spec mining basically, right? Picking what you want, hoping for that price appreciation, and then going from there, right? So have there been opportunities? Yes, right? We've talked about those these past 2 years, and we've mentioned it over and over that the most profitable time to mine was back then. Why? Although fiat profitability wasn't great, in many cases was break even or better, it's that price appreciation from holding those quality coins, right? And there was a lot of winners over different time periods. Some of the easier notable ones that a lot of you guys also got into was Casper during these early times, Alephium during these early times. I know ultimately there's a lot of belly aching. Oh, it's been going down so much for both of these. And yes, if we look at the recent price action, yes, but again, if you were mining this thing these 2 years ago, you're up pretty massively, right? In many cases, up well over 10x, even at this point, being such a bottom for like Alephium and such. Again, that's why I'm always a big proponent. I'm always saying that it's all about perspective and when you got in, right? Like if you got in this past year, right now, not a good time. You're probably pretty upset with Alephium, but if you had been mining throughout this time, GPU mining, stacking during these days, you're still pretty happy as there's still a lot of potential upside, right? But that's where it gets tricky though, right? So as we look through the list of projects, and this is what sucks, is that it feels like we just keep losing projects, right? We lost Radiant not that long ago. We're eventually going to lose Alio, which was a newcomer for us, and that is one that did bring a lot of emissions. That is one that is eventually going to go ASIC. I know a lot of people are saying in January. I'm not necessarily hearing anything. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, maybe it's later. The later the better, because right now it is bringing revenue. Another one we're going to be losing is Chlor AI. They are going to go to a proof of stake model sometime in Q1. And then even more recently, Nexa. Nexa is getting an ASIC, so you can consider this one off the list also, which again just adds to the disappointment, right? And this is the big thing, is that even from the beginning, even since right after the ETH merge, it was hard to envision any coins doing amazingly well. We did get lucky, and with Caspa, unfortunately, it did eventually go ASIC, but this is one, again, that carried a lot of us through this bear market, and made a lot of us a good chunk of money and gave us a huge opportunity to expand, right? Me being one of them. A big reason I was able to expand to what I did was because of Caspa, right? And Lithium being another. In terms of buying GPUs, again, the 5000 series did get announced. Would I be buying any of these specific for mining? No. Am I interested in the 5090s, 5080s? Absolutely. Reason being is just versatility, right? Could be able to mine on it, could do AI workloads. I wouldn't recommend getting it just for that purpose. If you're a person who's already looking at upgrading, like for example for me, my 3080 is definitely aging. I definitely want to upgrade. I definitely want a 5090. So for me, it makes sense. Kind of to each your own on their own individual situation. But as far as buying, like, oh, I'm going to get a bunch of 5070 Ti's for mining, no. Right? It's only going to make sense if you're able to get cheap hardware. Again, if you have super cheap electric. If you are over 12 cents, it's hard to recommend, right? So it's rough, bros. It's rough. I mean, again, we are at the point now where if we compare it to the previous cycle, by this time we were already in the GPU mania phase, which we already know we're not in that phase currently, right? You can buy these GPUs easily. You can go to Best Buy right now. They are there. They are available. So now, do I think it's going to be profitable? Do I think it's going to come back? Yes, but to an extent, it's not going to be something where we're making, $5 a day on a 3070. Maybe it'll go up to $1, maybe $2, depending on the coin, depending on the time. But even then, it probably won't be for a long period of time, right? Like, I don't feel confident that we're going to get a big pump on Ergo, like going up to like $7, $8, $10 and having it be profitable for an extended period of time. Something like a 6 to 9 month run where I can mine on it, have consistent profitability. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. I think what's the most likely case here is that we're going to have that run up. It's going to be a time where it is profitable, but the people who are going to win here are the ones who are just stacking during those times, right? Stacking Ergo right now while the hash rate is low and the yield is excellent, and then selling on one of these pumps, which may be short-lived, right? The advantage here, what you want as a GPU miner, is a sustained pump and for it to go sideways for a while at that elevated level where it's profitable. I don't know if we're going to get that here, right? Do I feel confident they're going to pump though? There's going to be days where it is, yeah, right? Like Ergo, previous all-time high, it's at $18. This is a coin that does have a lot of potential still. It's only at $1.65, ranked number 41 by market cap, $130 million market cap. So it definitely has a lot of room to run. Now, like I mentioned, the name of the game is going to be for those who are mining and hodling and then selling on those pumps. Not necessarily mining profitably for these next 6 to 10 months. There will be profit, especially if you had a cheap electric, but it's going to be harder to come by, right? Realistically, there's arguably other better opportunities in some of these ASICs, right? More specifically, previously, right? Obviously, right now, things are much more elevated. Things are a little bit different, and it is a different game right now. But again, my strategy would be to focus on more quality projects. Again, there is a lot of shitcoins, okay? And it's going to continue as this bull market progresses. There's going to be even more, right? My focus would be definitely quality over quantity, right? So things like Alio, which is eventually going to go ASIC. Zeno's one we're going to look at their chart. Very impressive stuff, actually. So that's one to watch. A lot of these others, though, Husap, Pugdag, Gemlink, Nirmata, Telestai. A lot of shitcoins, right? I'm not going to be touching a lot of these. It's going to be up to your own personal preference. What do you think is going to do well? And then looking for those other newer comers. There are going to be newer coins. We do got to stay vigilant and see what happens there, right? As we saw with Alio, a new coin can come out of nowhere with crazy emissions, right? Another one that's going to pop off pretty soon here, Quai Network. This is one to keep your eye on. Has been around for quite a while. Their mainnet is finally going to go live, hopefully this month. You can see here by the amount of X followers, there is a decent amount of interest at 291,000. Definitely one to watch. Again, Alio we just mentioned. This is one realistically. This is probably the price it should have started at versus this crazy like $5-6 valuation. It is now a $219 million market cap, ranked number 349, right at 74 cents. Definitely has potential here. Reason I'm saying that is the one that has a lot of development, has been in development for years, and has a lot of VC backing, a lot of VC money here. So depending on your viewpoint, some people view it as a negative. Me, for seeing number go up, I view it as a positive because they are going to get their money, right? One interesting thing to know here, a lot of people were questioning like how the hell they get on Coinbase so fast, and it's because they had coins to give, right? So they did do the Coinbase Earn program, which I'm sure costed them a lot, right? They had to essentially donate all those coins. And then another big thing is when we look at their validators, right? There's only a total of 16 validators on the network, and take a wild guess as to who has the most. Coinbase. Out of those 16, they have 3 of them, right? So they are also incentivized for this coin to do well. So guess what? Probably going to do somewhat well. Even if it just goes back to its previous highs, back to the $6-7 range, it's damn near 10x from where we're at right now, right? So although yield may not look too great, like when we look at it, it's like on a 3070 rig, it'll be about 4 Leo. Looks kind of crappy until you figure that, okay, maybe it can go back up to $7. Now that just turned into $28, right? Retroactively. And this is the name of the game, right? This is currently where we're at with GPU mining for you guys who are still going to be doing it. That to me is ultimately going to be the goal. So it's up to you though. Everybody's going to have different strategies. Some people are going to want to degen it instead. They're going to go into something more that has more potential, right? Something like Zealous potentially, under $10 million market cap, rank number 1,840. Again, only $4.67. It's been dumping. Recent high this year of $33, right? So over like what, damn near 9x, and potentially can go higher if it takes off, right? Is it one I'm holding or I'd be into? No. Again, for me, the goal here this late in the game is to stack quality, things that I have full confidence will be here, will have potential, right? So for me, it would be things like Alio, it would be things like Ergo. Ergo's another one. Ultimately, this past few months has done extremely well. Rosenbridge has been getting traction. There's recent talks. There was a CKB proposal recently for them to be added on to connect to Ergo as well with the Rosenbridge. So that was a pretty bullish potential development. Not for sure yet, but for new CKB fans, this is pretty cool. Another one is Flux, although it has been extremely disappointing, not necessarily in the price action, it did hit that peak with the AI hype back in March at $1.63. So it definitely still has that going for it. But in terms of what it's actually done, right? It seems like this whole bear market, we heard about all their things going on, yet we didn't see anything really come out fully, right? Which was extremely weird because there were things like Chlor, for example, that had their GPU marketplace up relatively quickly and actually functioning and being usable, versus something that's been in development for so long, has so much backing, not much has came of it, right? So do I think it's going to be around though? Yes. Do I think it's going to do well? Yes. To what extent? Hard to say, but the AI narrative is big. This is one that is definitely going to be around. This is one that could do well. This is one I would consider adding a bag, although I did dump all of mine early in the year, and I was very happy I did because the coin I dumped it into did extremely well after, but kind of to each their own. But this is one I would still definitely be considering. Another one being Conflux, right? Their emissions aren't too great on the mining side, but this is a big coin. This is ranked number 148. Market cap is 724 million. Does have precedence to continue to go up. Last cycle it did hit $1.40, $1.50. So definitely has potential. Maybe it reaches that point. Maybe it doesn't. It's hard to say. It looks vastly looking different though when you look at the market cap. But this is another one. Is a one I'd be holding. Not really. One interesting one actually, Zano. Look at the 3-month chart. Pretty damn good. So back in October, $5.79. Currently, damn near $17. Right. Let's look a little bit farther back, so it gets a little bit more impressive. Back in June of this year, is in the $2 range. Again, we're $17. Right, that chart looks beautiful going back on the 1 year. A lot of potential here. Same thing, not a super tiny market cap, but does have legs, does have room to run. Number 324, $238 million market cap. Pretty interesting, right? So this is one to potentially look at. Again, it's one that's been around. If we look at the max chart, you can kind of see how it's going to obliterate the previous all-time high, which is pretty cool to see, especially this early in the game. But again, it is one that's not brand new. It's been around. You can see here the chart. It goes back to 2019, right? So another one to keep your eyes on for something that's going to be around, right? So it's been tough, bros. This is one that's kind of near and dear to a lot of our hearts, but we have to think logically. We have to look at the numbers. We have to run the numbers. At this point, again, we are now in the post-halving year. I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to see what's going to happen. I've been wanting it to take off. I've been wanting it to get potential. But for me, there's just so much more potential in these other projects and other avenues, whether it's a lot of the ASICs, a lot of these DePIN projects. There's just, to me, been more potential, right? Well, during all this time where things are break even or better, obviously, if you have the hardware, it makes sense to continue to mine just because you do get those benefits. But in terms of like, oh, I have a 3 card rig, again, if you've been buying a lot of this time, in many cases, you've been in a better position, right? Good example is like right now. At a 10 cent kilowatt hour, a 3070 is at a loss with Flux. During these times, it 100% makes more time to be buying the coin if it's one you're trying to stack. Okay. So, kind of to each their own, right? Hopefully things do change. Hopefully things pop off. Hopefully 5, 6, 7, 8 of these coins do come up massively. Maybe Quai Network brings a lot of emissions in. Maybe it pumps. Maybe whatever other coins come in, and it does bring profitability up to $1, $2 at 3070. That would be nice, right? Especially for a 10 card rig. Do I think it's eventually going to happen? I do, right? Again, I do fully expect Alio to have a couple X's, Ergo to have a few X's, Flux to have a few X's. The issue is I don't think it's going to sustain for a long period of time, right? So again, the people who are going to win here are the ones who are speculatively mining and just holding these coins and dumping those coins during those times where it makes sense versus mining and trying to sell to pay your electric out of pocket, especially at a time like right now when you're essentially just barely breaking even, in some cases at a loss, right? Especially for you guys who are mining coins that did end up going down big time, right? So again, this is strategy for you guys who are mining and hodling. Like Carlson early on, that thing dropped massively. Pyron dropped massively. A lot of these others dropped massively, right? So again, strategy, strategy, strategy. Risk tolerance, looking at which things, and it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie, but that's why this whole time for me, if I'm mining something, it's because I believe it's gonna be there. It's one I'm bullish on. It's one that's going to do its thing. It's not these like shit coins, the Waglelas, the Husats, the Nirmatas, the whatever's, and there's gonna be more and more and more and more and more, especially as this thing progresses. But again, hopefully things do pop off. Hopefully they do come around, but just understand it's not looking like it's going to be back in the ETH days. Again, we are post-halving year. This is the year, if we go back to the previous cycle, the mania should have already started, right? So, kind of to each their own. I'm still definitely going to keep that little 10 card rig, at least for now. Just going to be sitting there stacking, right? It's just more DCA money, which again, it's all depending on your viewpoint. I view mining as, or miners, mining hardware in general, tools to DCA more efficiently, right? Or ECAing, electric cost averaging. Strategy, guys. It's really dependent on that. But at the end of the day, if you're a newcomer, you're looking at GPU mining, I want to buy a rig of 3070s, I probably wouldn't, right? If anything, if it's something you're already considering buying, like, oh, okay, cool, I'm a gamer, I'm interested in some of these 5000 series, sure, you can get on, mine one of those. I'll definitely be mining on mine, whatever I get, if I'm able to get these things, right? We'll see how that whole thing goes, but kind of teach your own, guys. But let me know in the comments, guys, what do you guys think? I know a lot of you guys did a similar transition to like what I did a few years ago, where you just sold a majority of them and went full ASIC just because the opportunity was there. Obviously, here in the next few months, if things do pop off, a lot of these ASICs, which some of them already are, right? Arguably, the L9 is kind of out of touch for a lot of people, especially for newcomers, and it's just going to continue to happen as things go up. So right now, there still are opportunities, although it's kind of hard, but let me know in the comments, guys. What do you guys think? Again, are you still here? Are you still stacking? Are you still buying GPU mining hardware? Are you still buying GPUs? Let me know in the comments, guys. Please comment, like, and subscribe, guys. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I am out.